Hi guys, this is Govardhan HM. Today we are going to learn about the transportation in human beings. So before starting a topic, let us know about a scientist. He is William Harvey. So William Harvey is one of the first scientists to describe the systematic circulation and the pumping of blood from the heart to the other parts of the body. In the year 1628, he published his work entitled Exercitio Anatomico de Motu Cardios et Sanguineus in Animalibus, which means the movement of heart and the blood in the animals. Such a big name for a book title, right? Circulatory system is a system that helps in the transportation of oxygen and essential nutrients to all the parts of a body. Even the circulatory system helps in the transportation of hormones from the secretion organ to the target organ. Our circulatory system comprises of heart and blood vessels. Blood and lymph form a tissue part of it. Let us learn about them in detail. Blood vessels are a system of tube-like structure or pipe-like structure which helps in carrying the blood. So, blood vessels are of three types, namely arteries, veins and capillaries. The cross-section of artery shows that it has a small lumen, which means small opening, and a thick wall to sustain the high blood pressure. Secondly, the cross-section of vein shows that it has a large opening and a thin wall. Inside the veins, the flap-like structure, which means pocket valves, are present to prevent the backflow of the blood. And then capillaries are fine, thin blood vessels which helps in connecting the arteries and veins. They also help in the easy diffusion or exchange of oxygen, carbon dioxide, essential nutrients, urea, etc. Heart is a muscular organ made up of cardiac muscles. Our heart is present in the chest cavity and tilted towards the left side. So, on average, our heart pumps nearly 5 liters of blood per minute. So, our heart comprises of 4 chambers, namely right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium and left ventricle. Let us differentiate between them. The atrium are the upper 2 chambers, while the ventricles are the lower 2 chambers. Our atrium receives the blood, while the ventricles pump out the blood. Our atrium has a thin wall, while the ventricles have the thick wall. Okay. As we know, our heart comprises of 4 chambers, namely right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium and left ventricle. Our heart also comprises of 4 valves, namely aortic valve, pulmonary valve, bicuspid valve and tricuspid valve. Our heart is protected by a thin layer known as pericardium. When the heart contracts, the blood is pumped out, and when the heart relaxes, the blood is received. The contraction of heart is known as systole and the relaxation of heart is known as diastole. Each contraction and relaxation constitutes a heartbeat. Now, let us know about double circulation. In humans, double circulation is seen. Double circulation is a process in which the blood is passed out twice in order to complete one circulation. To say in simple words, when the heart pumps out blood twice in order to complete one circulation. Let me explain to you in detail. Double circulation can be illustrated by the following chart. Now as you can see, first the deoxygenated blood from the body. Deoxygenated blood is nothing but the blood with the higher concentration of carbon dioxide enters our heart through the vena cava. Then the deoxygenated blood comes into the right atrium, then to the right ventricle, and from the pulmonary artery it goes to the lungs. Now, as we all know, we breathe in the oxygen. and the oxygen goes into our lungs. And in our lungs, the oxygen will be stored in alveoli. Our alveoli are surrounded by capillaries. Capillaries, as we know, they are fine thin blood vessels which help in the easy diffusion of oxygen, carbon dioxide, essential nutrients, urea, etc. etc. So, when our deoxygenated blood enters our lungs, they diffuse with the oxygen and exchange the carbon dioxide, and we exhale carbon dioxide as a metabolic waste. So, our blood is oxygenated now. So now the oxygenated blood enters our heart again through the pulmonary veins, and then the oxygenated blood comes into the left atrium, then to left ventricle, then through the aorta the oxygenated blood is pumped to all the parts of our body. Blood is a transport medium in human beings. It forms a fluid connective tissue. So, in the blood, there is an important component named as plasma, in which RBCs, WBCs and platelets are suspended. So first, what is RBC? You can call them as red blood cells or red blood corpuscles or the erythrocytes. Secondly, what are WBCs? WBCs are nothing but white blood cells or white blood corpuscles or leukocytes. Platelets can be called as thrombocytes. So let us know about their functions. RBCs, which means the red blood corpuscles, have a important part known as hemoglobin. Hemoglobin helps in the pigmentation of the blood, and it carries oxygen to all the parts of a body and carries some amount of carbon dioxide to the lungs to be exhaled out as a metabolic waste. So the hemoglobin is known as the respiratory carrier. Secondly, let us know about the function of WBCs, that is white blood cells. White blood cells are amoeboid in shape, which means the white blood cells are similar in the shape of amoeba. So their function is to fight against the invaders. So next, the thrombocytes, that are platelets, function. So the platelets help in the clotting of the blood. Clotting of wound or injury is very essential for a human being to survive. So for an example, take you or I have a cut in our hand. So what happens? It starts bleeding. And what if the bleeding is not stopped? We lose all our blood and there is no transport medium in our body, and then the essential nutrients and oxygen is not transported to our cells and is not used by it. So there is no transportation of carbon dioxide and urea out of our body, those that are metabolic wastes, and ultimately we die. So here comes the clotting enzymes. The clotting enzymes rush at the site of wound or injury. They convert into thrombin, then to fibrogen, and then to fibrin. The fibrin forms a mesh-like structure and traps the RBCs. After the trapping of RBCs, the plasma without the fibrin comes out of the wound, that is known as serum. So later the fibrin together with the RBCs contract to form a solid clot and stop bleeding.